Rewind to 16th century Europe. In the vast stone kitchens of castles and aristocratic mansions, fires crackled under iron spits laden with meat. The crackling of fat mingled with the fragrant aroma of roasting meat filled the room. And in one corner of the oven, there was a special worker, small, four-legged, with attentive eyes and constantly moving legs, the turnspit dog. Their job was strange. These dogs were trained to run around a wooden wheel hanging high above, like a giant spinning wheel. As the wheel turned, the iron shaft connected to the spit also turned, helping the meat to brown evenly over the red-hot flames. Day after day, from family meals to lavish banquets for the nobility, the turnspit dog worked silently to ensure each piece of meat was perfect. For centuries, the turnspit was an indispensable part of European culinary art. But then times changed. By the mid-19th century, with the advent of mechanical machinery, the wooden wheels were gradually replaced by modern technology. Turnspit dogs, once the heart of the kitchen, suddenly became a thing of the past. They disappeared, not only from the hearth, but also from history, leaving behind a little-known story of these silent heroes who once turned around under the red-hot firelight of ancient Europe. Turnspit is just one of hundreds of dog breeds that have existed throughout history. But look at the present. Today's dogs are not only loyal companions, but also one of the most diverse animals on the planet. Just imagine a tiny Pomeranian, weighing less than twuck, fits in the palm of your hand, with its fur bobbing like a living cotton ball. Then a giant Mastiff, weighing more than 100 kg, walks up, almost as high as an adult's waist, with enough strength to pull a sled. And yet, they are both dogs. The question is, how did all of them, from the tiny cotton balls to the powerful giants, come from the same ancestor? And more than that, what does it really mean when we say a dog is of this breed or that? Or is it just a simple label, when the real story lies deep within the genes? To answer that, we have to go back in time, to tens of thousands of years ago, when humans first befriended the gray wolf. From a single species, through thousands of years of selective breeding, humans created hundreds of different dog breeds, each with a purpose. Hunting dogs, sled dogs, guard dogs, companion dogs. It is our intervention, selecting pairs of dogs with desirable traits to breed, that has caused evolution to proceed at breakneck speed. It took nature millions of years to create such a difference. But humans? Just a few thousand years. The result, a world where a tiny Chihuahua and a giant Great Dane can still sit side by side. And both are the same species, Canis familiaris. But here's the interesting thing. Breed is not actually a natural science concept. It's a human invention, a system of classification based on shape, function, and established standards. And sometimes the breed label doesn't tell the whole story about a dog's health, personality, or adaptability. So when you look at a dog, remember, behind the soft fur and bright eyes is an evolutionary story. The story of how humans have transformed one species into hundreds of shapes, thousands of personalities. And it all started with a single ancestor. Believe it or not, every modern dog, from the tiny Pomeranian that weighs less than twuck to the massive Mastiff that weighs more than 100 kg, has a single common ancestor, the wolf. The story begins about 15,000 years ago, during the harsh Ice Age. Primitive humans then lived by hunting and gathering, living in cold caves. They lit fires to ward off darkness and keep warm. Far outside the circle of light, the golden eyes of wolves glinted in the darkness. They were hungry. They followed the scent of burning meat from the human camp. At first, wolves and humans were enemies. But then a few wolves, bolder and less aggressive than the others, came closer, quietly waiting at the edge of the fire to pick up leftover bones. Instead of killing them, humans gradually became accustomed to their presence. One day, someone threw them a piece of meat, and so the magical relationship began. Over time, wolves traded food and safety for proximity to humans. In return, humans gained a living alarm system against predators and companions on long hunting trips. The gentle, trainable wolves were kept, raised, and from there they began to change. They were no longer wolves. They became a completely new species, dogs. This was the first animal humans domesticated, long before we had cows for milk, or horses to ride, or even cats to catch mice. This partnership changed not only the fate of dogs, but the entire history of humanity. As humans increasingly relied on dogs for survival, for hunting, guarding property, and herding livestock, they began to realize something important. Not all dogs were the same. Some were fast, suited to chasing prey. Some were strong, brave, ready to confront wild animals. And some were intelligent, patient, perfect for controlling livestock. And from that realization began a millennia-long experiment. Humans selected and bred individuals with superior traits, gradually creating professional versions for each job. Hunting dogs, guard dogs, herding dogs, all stemming from the simple idea: we need better working dogs. By about 11,000 years ago, the results were clear. Dogs were no longer just wolf clones, but came in a variety of shapes: large, small, long-haired, short-haired, each with its own unique shape. But the real turning point came much later, during the Victorian period in England. This was when dogs began to take on a whole new stage. The role of working assistant gradually gave way to a new concept, a symbol of style and status. People no longer asked, "Is this dog good at hunting?" But instead, "Is it beautiful? Is it standard?" Thus began the era of breeding for beauty. Dog shows emerged, where each breed was judged on extremely detailed standards: head shape, leg length, tail curvature, coat color, even the way they moved. Since then, the world has witnessed an unprecedented change. Modern dogs with perfect appearances rarely do the work their ancestors did. They have gone from hunting companions to drawing room aristocrats. And it all started with human aesthetic ambitions. Today, kennel clubs around the world recognize hundreds of different dog breeds. Each has its own unique appearance, personality, and abilities. But have you ever wondered, what does breed really mean at the genetic level? To answer that question, scientists turn to the mysterious world of DNA. They sequence the genomes of a wide range of dog breeds, from tiny chihuahuas to giant mastiffs. And they discovered something interesting. Instead of countless different genetic groups, most dog breeds cluster into about 10 main groups. These groups are loosely related to the roles that dogs have played throughout history: herding, hunting, retrieving, and more. It sounds obvious, but it's not that simple. Genetics are incredibly complex. While scientists can find genetic markers that are unique to each group, predicting traits from those genes remains a challenge. A genetic code might suggest that a dog has a natural talent for hunting, but that doesn't mean it will be a great hunter. This shows that breed is not just about genes. It's also about breeding history, about habitat, about how humans have selected and shaped traits over thousands of years. From wild wolves to our ever-evolving companions, a combination of nature, science, and human hands. Can dog breed predict personality? It sounds reasonable, but the truth may surprise you. Research shows that only about 9% of personality is actually tied to breed. Yes, only 9%. True, there are traits that are deeply genetic. Take the cold, predatory gaze of a border collie, enough to make a flock of sheep stand still, or the irresistible instinct to retrieve from a retriever, which dates back thousands of years to hunting. But what's interesting is that most everyday behaviors have little to do with breed. Spinning around before going to the bathroom or being occasionally aggressive, these are hardly determined by DNA. In fact, a Chihuahua can be as gentle as a cotton ball, while a Golden Retriever can sometimes be stubborn, far from the friendly image we associate with this breed. This proves an important truth. The breed only provides the framework, while the true character is shaped by environment, training, and love from humans. So don't judge a dog by its breed name. Let them show you who they really are. Take Pit Bull, for example. The name often makes many people shudder. The image in their mind is of muscular dogs with fierce eyes, ready to attack anyone. Media and news about attacks further ingrain this stereotype. But the scientific truth is far from what people think. Modern research has shown that relying solely on the breed of dog to predict aggression is completely wrong. A pit bull raised in a loving environment, properly trained, can become a gentle, loyal friend, even famous for being gentle with children. The real cause of dangerous behavior lies not in their genes, but largely in the way they are raised, trained, and the living environment. On the other hand, look at small dog breeds like Chihuahuas or Pomeranians. They look cute like dolls, but sometimes they are quite arrogant, unapproachable, or even irritable. This is not determined by genes, but mainly comes from socialization, how the owner cares for them, and also the instinct to protect themselves because of their small body. The conclusion? You cannot judge a dog by its breed alone. A dog's true personality is a combination of many factors: education, environment, and the love they receive from humans. Did you know this surprising fact? Less than 25% of a dog's personality is determined by genetics. The rest comes from how they are trained, their environment, and their experiences. Imagine even service dog training programs, where everything is controlled almost perfectly, cannot guarantee that all of their carefully bred dogs will become furry heroes. Breeders select each bloodline for the best temperament, focus, and trainability. But the result? Some dogs are still eliminated. The simple reason: personality cannot be programmed by genes alone. This speaks to a big truth. Every dog is a unique individual. They are a mixture of nature and nurture, between the instincts they inherit and the way they are cared for and trained. So never judge a dog by its breed. Their personalities are a journey, a story that humans help write every day. After thousands of years of being domesticated, raised and bred by humans, dogs have become one of the most diverse creatures on the planet. From tiny dogs that can fit in the palm of your hand, to large, powerful breeds that stand as tall as your waist, all come from a common ancestor. But each individual has its own distinct traits, a unique personality that no two are alike. Dog breeds can provide some clues. A border collie may stand out with his sharp eyes when tracking sheep, or a golden retriever may have an endless passion for fetching balls. But these are just small pieces of the larger picture. Breed does not define a dog's nature, nor can it define a dog's heart. Every excited tail wag, every joyful bark, tells a story that goes far beyond invisible strands of DNA. It is a story of loyalty, of friendship, and of the sacred bond between man and dog, a story written over millennia, and continues to be written every day, in every loving moment.